We're joined by American Billboard artist and gospel singer Bill Moss Jr., who'll be sharing his testimony on overcoming COVID-19, how his experience brought him even closer to Jesus Christ, and how God gave him a song about his experience. Bill is now creating music to bless people from mental health, anxiety, and to lift up their hearts during the pandemic. Bill Moss Jr., thanks so much for joining us.
Well, hello, and I'm so delighted and I'm humbled to be a part of the show today. And yeah, man, thank you so much. And yeah, it's quite a bit of a challenge what we're going through.
Bill, give us an insight into what you experienced when you contracted coronavirus and how Jesus Christ gave you that strength to overcome it.
You know, it was the routine. It was just going through everyday life, going back and forth to work. I'm a music and fine art director at Third and Hope Church in Detroit, Michigan. And, you know, we do a lot of rehearsals. We do a lot of connecting with our people. And we heard about the coronavirus starting to take shape and become a threat, but we were yet taking things a little for granted. And so I came home one night, got in bed, and I felt what we know as the common flu symptoms. You get an ache, muscle aches, you get some fever, and it gets a little hard to sleep. And then, you know, you think you're just gonna wake up tomorrow with a flu. But it got progressively worse. And so I knew then that it could be the symptoms of a pre-coronavirus experience, but it continually got worse and it got deep down in my lungs. And by the grace of God, I was not hospitalized. And there's two things that I tell everybody. It was the grace of God, and then it was my being in good health. And so I spent 14 days and I spent 14 days in a hardcore experience with coronavirus because I couldn't go from the bed to the bathroom without having a breathing attack or coughing spell. And it was just one of those things. And I laid there, and since we're Christians, we can relate to this. I laid there one day and I said, hey, Lord, you selected me for this particular thing in my life, and I just want to know how long I got to deal with it. And you know what God told me? He said, until I heal you.
How important was Jesus Christ in your life when you were going through such a life-changing experience?
Just to hear his voice that clear. Just to hear his voice that clear when I prayed and he said to me, until I heal you, there was so much reassurance in just that because I knew I was going to make it through it. He just didn't give me the time. He didn't tell me how long. He just said, I'm going to heal you. And God does these kinds of things for particular reasons. We know that he won't put more on us than what we can bear. And we know that a lot of people have lost their lives and have gone on to be with the Lord. So, you know, you get all of this anxiety because you're not sure what your outcome is going to be. But I'm so glad that I had a blessed assurance in knowing that I was going to make it. And then God would need to use me to be a testimony. And that's, again, another one of the reasons why I thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to share it and tell people, you know, you can make it through this. You have to fight. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. You got to live right. And, you know, you'll experience a successful outcome in most cases. It definitely increased my faith. And, you know, that's what happens with God. A lot of times we sometimes waver, or we maybe have been waiting for a blessing or waiting for an outcome of a situation, and God seems to be taking a little bit too long. But God always shows up right on time. And when he does, there's a blessed assurance, there's a reassurance, and then you feel like you can go on a little further.
Now, music has been something that's been in your family for a very long time. Tell us how you're using music to really reach out and evangelize to people further to your experience of coronavirus.
Well, music is a universal language, first of all. So that means that it has a reach that most outlets don't have. You know, you can speak a language, you can use a political platform, but you sometimes you can't reach people like you can reach them through a song. When I wrote the song that we have out now, Brand New Day, it was because I was able to connect to it in an emotional kind of way. And so we have this new single out, Brand New Day, that speaks to the pandemic. It speaks a little bit to the social unrest. I don't write songs like that for propaganda. I don't think that when people are dying and people are losing their lives that we should write songs to make money. I think if we're going to do it, it should come from a place of sincerity and an emotional place where people can feel some uplifting. That's what I like to do. That's always my motive, my main motivation for writing songs is not to chase the industry, but for somebody to say, hey, your song, The Struggle, or your song, Brand New Day, or your song, Testimony of Praise, helped me while I was dealing with my cancer, or when my mother passed from a stroke, or when I lost my brother to a murder. You know, your song helped me. That's what Bill Moss is all about. Jesus only wants you to have the faith the size of a mustard seed, the grain of a mustard seed. And if you put that in perspective, that's not asking a lot. And sometimes all it requires is that you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep at night, and you speak to the Lord, and you ask the Lord for what you want. You ask the Lord to give you strength to make it through the night and make it through the day. And when you look back over your life, you'll see that God He answered your prayer because you're still here. And if you still have your health, that's a testimony. That's a sign that God is listening.
Bill Moss Jr., thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
For procrastination, kind words can heal the heart. Touching a life can heal the soul. Reach out.